Salam alaikum, buenos dias. What's happening? Just left a video for you guys, short, trying to get support for our Tata Matamba. I wanted to speak a little bit about not just Nkisis, as a lot of people see what an Nkisi is. We know that the predominant Nkisis that we see them as a form as in Ngangas, right? And I haven't seen too many people speak about other Nkisis. As far as, do we use other Nkisis? They are not in a form, or they are not in a parcel, whether of terracotta, whether of steel. They kind of looks like, a kettle or a pot of some sort. As in ganguleros and ganguleras, we just do not only use our ngangas. A lot of us, if not all, or quite many, have other Nkisis that you're not going to see inside a pot. You're not going to see it in an nganga. You're not going to see it in a terracotta or one of those plant pots, or you're not going to see it the way you normally would go to a munanso and you see Nkisis in pots, which a lot of people call empungos, right? When I'm speaking about Nkisi, I'm speaking about empungos, because that's how we understand it, an empungo, like empungo sarabanda, mamachola, like this. But when I speak about Nkisi, I'm not speaking about a certain empungo, if you want to say. There's a little bit of I don't want to say misconception, but a little thing with the word empungo, because, and I'm just jumping off real quick, because you never hear people saying mamachola empungo, sarabanda empungo, siete rayo empungo. That you barely never hear that word. And you got to ask yourself sometimes why. If you notice, you would hear ensambi empungo. You don't hear nobody else calling anything empungo. But when they do talk, they say, oh, those are empungos. This is an empungo. That's an empungo. But they never call it by that name. They never say sarabanda empungo, mamachola empungo. No, they don't say that. The only force that we cannot see or know, or even our brains cannot even fathom, is who we call ensambi empungo. Really. Now, back to what I was speaking about. I don't know why I went there, but it took me there. Anyway, we use other enfumbes, other spirits, okay, and different other types of parcels where we consecrate it, where we do a some type of treaty with, and we materialize that parcel. Let's speak about a wooden Nkisi, just to make it easy. If you notice, a lot of Nkisis are not in pots. There's no pots. There's an Nkisi. You might find some in pots, and I'm saying you're not. But the majority of the Nkisis that you see, especially from the Bantu in the Congo, they are not in no pot. They are outside. They're sitting, standing tall, you know. And if you go to Mulanzo and you see an Nkisi of this form, whether it's a Kinikini or whether it's an Nkondi or any type of wooden statue that you would see that has that kind of resemblance of an Nkisi from, let's say, Africa, from that region, because that's where you would have seen it more, would be over there. That Nkisi, we work with it like we work with the Nganga. There are some, I'm not going to say there are some limitations, but there are things that we could use that Nkisi for, and particularly, you know, one very short thing that I'm going to tell you is that you could have an Nkisi that looks after your home, your property. Let's just say that one. Meaning that if you're a tata or a yaya, right? You could get yourself an Nkisi, let's say a wooden statue of some type of wooden carving, whether African, whether it looks like with African features, whichever type, but usually we like them more to be more of that persuasion, because that's where it came from, you know, the Bantu. So we would have somebody carve one, we will carve one ourselves, we will buy one, and then we would do things to discharge any negativity out of that doll, doesn't matter, or that statue or that figure of wood, or, you know, just to make sure it's clean. And we would start a procedure to build that Nkisi. Mind you, it's not going to be built the same way you will build it in Nganga, because you have to look at those who know what an Nganga, what certain Ngangas have, does not fit in an Nkisi. There are certain rituals that you have to do with an Nganga that is very difficult, if not impossible, to do with an Nkisi. So it won't have that ritual or those rituals done to it. But there are still things that you could do and build an Nkisi where you could use that Nkisi to send out to do work for you. Almost the same as your Nganga. You understand? And if you build it, you know, in a whichever way that you and your Nganga agreed upon building that Nkisi, and whatever way, you know, you and the Nganga speak upon and is agreed upon and everything. Because remember, all these things have to be taught. Everything has to be taught. Everything has to be asked, from the most littlest thing, the most minuscule thing that you think that's not important, you have to ask. That's how we do it, you know. And we charge the Nkisi up with not only certain types of medicines, but we also charge the Nkisi up with a spirit. We implement a spirit in there that has a name, and we use that figurine, if you want to look at it, that Nkisi, to do many things, from healing to protection, from economical help, for different types of things you could build an Nkisi for. It's just not, you just don't need to have an Nganga and have the Nganga do everything. You could have something else that it's let's say it's kind of like it's an addition to your arsenal that you could use to do many things. Okay, now what we always have to remember is that the first Nganga that you have, that is your primary Nganga, whether it's your Nsila or not, because it's the first one you received. So you better make sure that you give precedence to that Nganga, because your Nkuyo, your Nganga are the ones, in other words, that run the show. You understand? If you have more than one Nganga, then it takes time, but they, through working with them, there's a synchronicity with them that they all fall upon certain rules, you know, that has to do with your lineage and with the treaties that they all got to abide by. They all got to abide by. So same thing with that Nkondi, same thing with that Kini. You know, you build it, you construct it, you form it, you give you materialize it, but you have to have treaties, and you have to have things agreed upon, very clear, and with who you're gonna verify that with is with what you trust that you already have. Whether you have an Nganga, or whether you have a Lucero Nkuyo, that's who you're going to use to give you the okay and the know-how to build that other Nkisi. Now, you're going to be limited in certain things. Those things I cannot tell you. But there are limitations. Because you cannot do the same thing that you do with an Nganga, that we call Nkisi also, with a wooden carving of an Nkondi or a Kini. It's not the same. You have to work with it differently. You will have to find a way to work with that wooden figure, because that's what we're talking about, a wooden figure, but that's different types of parcels that you could use. It just doesn't have to be wood. But if you feel inclined to have a Kini, have an Nkondi, because there are different types. They are different types that you use for different types of things. But if you have license as a Tata, if you have your own Nganga already, if you understand already and have connection with your Nganga or your Ngangas, then you are capable of conforming or building your own Nkisi. Not only an Nganga, but also an Nkisi that's not in the form of an Nganga. But there are, like I said, things that you cannot do with a wooden Nkisi that you would do with Nganga. There are ways to work around it, but then it becomes a little more, you know, there's more elaboration, and there are more things that you have to do, and then that Nkisi now can't just be just that way. It has to be formed and conformed in a different way. But as what I'm speaking about is just a Kini, just an Nkondi of whatever type, and conforming it is all upon what you agree upon and what you have established. I'm building that muerto that's gonna go inside that encondi or kinikini, that spirit that you're gonna materialize. You always have to verify that with your stuff, with your nganga, with your lucero. Why? Because that's what you have. That's the first things that you have had. Those are the things that you know they work. Those are the things that you trust. You trust your nganga, right? You trust your lucero. You trust your nkuyo. So you cannot trust on something that you're building new without verifying with what you trust. So you want to verify whatever you do with the stuff that you trust and know they work and know that you have treaties with. So I just wanted to come in and give you guys a video. I feel bad that I haven't made any videos for a while speaking about Palo. Palo is vast. Palo is a vast subject, and you know, to find things to speak about Palo, there are a lot, but to find things that interest the community to understand and to learn, it's what's a little bit difficult, because not everybody is interested in history. Not everybody is interested in the anthropology. You know, not everybody is interested, you know, in divination. People are interested in different types of things, and we cannot, you know, I can't sit here and speak about every single thing, you know, from anthropology to history to, you know, to how we practice, you know, like it becomes too much, overwhelming. That's why I think that a lot of even the Spanish speaking Nganguleros, the ones that were here before making videos, that's one of the reasons why I think they stopped. Because there are just some things that you cannot speak about, and there's too much to speak about, and some people are not interested in certain topics. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. But anyway, it doesn't mean that I don't want to come out and make any videos and show my face. Like I said, I'm here all the time, guys. You know, just email me, w3qin1973@gmail.com. Subscribe to Tata Matamba's new YouTube channel. You're gonna see the logo on it. I think it's with the scrolls of time. And let's keep on moving. And any questions, any comments, anything that you guys would like to hear about or would like for me to speak about, just email me, let me know, and I'll take the time out and make a video if I can, you know. And if you need to speak to me, just email me. I'll send you my number, and then we'll talk to the best of my ability, or anything that I could do. Salam alaikum, alaikum salam, and sambi lakutare, kata songoki tome, here at your service. Be safe, guys.